you face daily challenges while working in SharePoint? Would you like to automate processes, save time, and work more efficiently without having to rely on power users? You can! QuizCom is your one-stop solution for all your SharePoint needs. With 10,000 plus clients and over 70 SharePoint and Office 365 products, we offer a solution for any SharePoint requirement. Let's take a glance at a few of our products. No-code, smart and secured forms. User-friendly and highly customizable organization charts. Data aggregation across your SharePoint Online tenant and MS Graph API. SharePoint and Exchange Online calendar aggregation. One-click convert to PDF and print. When using a third-party app, have you ever wondered how secured your data is when it's processed on a vendor's cloud server? All QuizCom apps are non-technical and are 100% secured. Your data never leaves your tenant. Discover how QuizCom can solve your SharePoint frustrations. Go to www.quizcom.com today and try out any QuizCom product for free.
Hey everyone, welcome to my session on a 50-minute digital transformation. So what the heck is a digital transformation? It means something different to almost everyone. I often hear it being thrown around with terms like cloud and big data. In this 50-minute session, hopefully 50 minutes, we will show you how it's possible to digitally transform a manual process into a modern online solution where resources are centralized and manual tasks are automated. And best of all, you don't need any IT and you have all of the tools that you already need. SharePoint and Power Automate will be showcased using an out-of-the-box functionality and a no-code maker approach to this digital transformation scenario. My name is Norm Young. I'm from St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. You'll be forgiven for not knowing where St. Catharines is. To give you a reference, I'm 15 minutes from Niagara Falls and an hour away from Toronto. I was recently awarded the Microsoft MVP in Office Apps and Services, which loosely translates to SharePoint. I'm a data architect currently working at Brock University, and my favorite topics are anything with a SharePoint list and Power Automate. This is a real scenario that I've covered 3 times in my working experience. At the university, there has been some type of exchange or agreement process that has been managed by a single user from their computer. And these agreements have accidentally expired and slipped in the past. It's all 100% manual processes done from an Excel spreadsheet with zero insights for others in the university as to what's happening with those agreements. And what usually happens in the 3 scenarios that I've come across in the past is that a larger team has adopted the business process and now they want to affect change. These teams are typically new to SharePoint and Microsoft 365. The team needs reminder emails. They need the ability to assign different owners to the agreements, and they need to be able to see the current status and provide updates for the rest of the team. The team wants insights by country to know which ones have expired, and any type of quick information at a glance, and some type of ad hoc reporting. There are 2 messages that I would like to share prior to getting into the demo. And the first is that SharePoint and Power Automate are better together. Microsoft is continuing to invest in lists. And with recent announcements that we've seen at MS Build, It will become its own app in Office 365 with new functionality and a dedicated app coming in the very near future. And when you combine Microsoft Lists with the dozens of triggers and actions for SharePoint Lists and Power Automate, you have a legitimate solution for IT pros and citizen developers. And when there is no app for that, use SharePoint and Power Automate as a lightweight solution platform when business processes are left behind from ERP or large application implementations. And to be clear, I am not suggesting that lists are databases. They should not be used for highly complex workloads. They should be used when users and business processes have opportunities to add value through the centralization of resources and the automation of tasks. There are three messages that I want to use throughout my digital transformation and guiding principles that I will use in the solution build. The first is I'm not going to put the tool in front of the problem. I might be a SharePoint only person, but if I can find an easier way of getting that data into SharePoint using a different tool like Excel, I will do that. And I'll do that because it can bring value to the customer faster. I will use Office 365 groups and Power Automate to be the glue that binds these various Office 365 apps together into a single solution for my users. And I will use a simplicity of design to guide me when I'm creating these solutions. Now we are going to hop into our first demo, and I'm going to close my slide deck. This Excel spreadsheet that I'm opening is the artifact that has come from the business process. And in order for me to get it into SharePoint, I need to make sure that the data is consistent and that it is formatted as a table to bring it into SharePoint. So for starters, I'm going to click Format as Table. And now I'm going to inspect the data using the Filters option. And I can see that the exchange type has values of graduate programs, UG, and undergraduate programs. So I'm going to correct grad and undergraduate to have data consistency. Now I've got my start in Office 365 through Power BI. Like I said before, my job title is Data Architect. And it was using Power BI that led to SharePoint, that led to Power Automate, and all the other wonderful tools there. And I've found a real connection with SharePoint and Power Automate, and it's something that my job title doesn't necessarily reflect. I'm also going to check country because I believe that this would be a good lookup column as well. And as I scroll through, well, Spanish is definitely not a country. And Milan is definitely not a country, so I'll deselect all those. And I'm only going to target the ones that need correction: Spanish, Milan, and I'll change Milan to Italy. And I'll also change Spanish to Spain. I'll do one more check. Clear filter is what I wanted to do. I'll check city just to make sure there's nothing hanging out there. And that's all good. So at this point, my data has consistency. I've done a manual inspection of the data. It's been formatted as a table. And now, whether using Excel or SharePoint, I can get this data into a list. So I'll save that off. And now I need to create an Office 365 group for my solution to sit into. So I'm in SharePoint and I'm creating a team site. And I will call this demo 50 MDT. I wonder if that one exists. No, that one doesn't exist, so we'll call this number 5. Excellent. Click next. So as this is creating, very fast, I'm trying to bring value to my users as fast as possible. So I will do that by simply getting them online with their list data. That's going to be a huge step forward for them. And then I'll start applying the other guiding principles like simplicity of design to bring this solution to a state that my users will feel comfortable with. So now it's time to get my Excel spreadsheet into SharePoint. This is a wonderful new feature that's come out recently where I can import the spreadsheet as a new list. So I'll go to Settings and Site Contents. I will click New, and then I'll select List. You'll notice on the bottom it says From Excel. I'm going to upload the data file from my desktop. It will read it successfully because it's been formatted as a table. And I'll give it a name of Exchange. Waiting for it to upload. Prior to this feature coming available, you had the choice of exporting from Excel into SharePoint. Well, it's taken a long time to upload. It shouldn't take this long. Well, we're going to try that again. Site contents. I can't explain why that happened. Exchange, upload file, data. You know, when you practice these things, there's never a glitch, but the moment you turn the camera on, there's always a glitch. Okay, so for whatever reason, it can't get the file up there, so I'm going to manually upload it. And then I'll simply go back and add the list. When this works, it's flawless, and this is the experience we should have seen. So we're given a number of options to choose from. Let me expand this so you can see what's going on. Title will be our primary key. Exchange type, because the data is usually one of 2 values, we're going to turn that into a choice column. The creation date has been interpreted as a number, and we're going to flip that to date and time. Same with start date, same with end date. I don't think there's anything we can do there. Duration's a number. And we're going to change country to a choice and city to choice and click create. You probably have experienced a similar scenario where you're taking someone's Excel spreadsheet and moving it into a different solution. And it's been my experience that these spreadsheets that are sitting in the hands of users are gold. They usually reflect the business process. They usually have the reality of how they work buried into it, and they only need a few additions added to bring value. And so here we go. We are online with our new list called Exchange. We've imported the data and we've done some of the customizations to the columns. So I'm going to go back home because the simplicity of design principle that I'm trying to follow is not here when I look at this page. My users, when they come to SharePoint for the first time, are going to find this very overwhelming, too busy. And so my goal is only to have what they need on the screen when they come. And if that changes over time, that's great. Then we'll change it. So let me copy this link. I'm going to create a simple button that will help them find the list that we've just created for them. We're going to call it Exchange again. And I'm also going to add a quick text message to them so they understand what this button is for. Got it, thank you for that. And finally, I'll just give this a bit of color. And I will republish. And they come to the site and they see just what they need to see. And I'll clean up some of this business on the left-hand trail. I'm not deleting these items. I just don't want them to be visible to the users for now. As they mature and get used to the different tools, then we can continue to add them. But for now, this is their digital home. And when they land on it, they know that Exchange is where they need to be. Okay, let's hop back into the slide deck. So what did we do? We used Excel for data validation and to create the list. We did not put the tool in front of the problem. We used an Office 365 group as our user's new digital home. Our Office 365 group, and later in the demo, Power Automate will be the glue that binds our solution together. We removed the clutter from the SharePoint site to give the users the easiest possible access to the tools. We used a simplicity of design when creating the solution to decrease the delivery time and increase user adoption. We want to add value to our users through the centralization and automation of resources and solutions. We need to understand the business process to find opportunities to add value. And we will create a hub for teamwork by creating connected solutions. And we will centralize in a place that will work for your users. Let's get into our next demo. So we need to add a status column. And it's so nice in the modern SharePoint list experience that we can add columns right from the front of the list and not have to go into the back end. This will be a choice column, and it is going to be status. And our choices will be active and expired. I'm going to expand the list so we can have more of the screen. And I'm going to go into Quick Edit to backfill this status column. I'm just going to make one expired and then the rest active. This is a wonderful Excel-like feature in lists when you're in the Quick Edit mode, where you can drag data into other cells and perform your backfill in that way. Okay, looks like it's still trying to resolve. Well, like I said earlier, you do this 100 times in practice and it always works. As soon as you turn the webcam on, you get these types of things. So it did take, I don't know why it wasn't exiting out, but it could be just that I'm recording. Either way, next thing that they needed was an owner to assign to these different agreements. So we'll create another column, and it'll be a person column called owner. And I'm just going to use myself. This wouldn't be the case in the real world. This is important because we're using a person column, and that gives us opportunities for automation in Power Automate. And what I mean by that is, as a person column, we get all of those attributes that are behind the scenes with that person data type. And that includes the display name, the email address, the job title, and all of those great pieces of information that we have in Azure Active Directory. And so we have another column called signatory, but that is not a person column, and that is a text column. So all of the benefits of having it as a person column are not available to us. So I'm going to replace this with a new one. I'm just going to call it signatory new. It's going to be a person or group. And I'm going to go back into Quick Edit, and I'm going to copy the signatory text values into signatory new, and it should resolve as a person and not a text. And then I'll do a backfill again. And I'll exit Quick Edit. There's so much time to be saved in the modern SharePoint list. In the past, many of us would have to go into list settings and do our work there. That's not the case anymore. Changes that you make in the list on the front end stick to the back end. Lists get updated and saved automatically. It's really amazing how far this has come and how much easier it is to build a list and customize a list and then ultimately bring value to your users. And so as we look at the list, you'll see that we have what look to be two calculated columns. One is called total students, which is a simple addition of inbound and outbound students. So inbound students being those coming to the university, and outbound being the students from our university going out to the different schools. These are being calculated manually, and it's something that I know we can add value to by creating a SharePoint calculated column. So I'm going to delete this for now. I'm going to go into list settings and create a new calculated column. This will be called total students. And this will be a calculated column based on other columns, and it will equal inbound plus outbound. And we'll make sure that it's displayed as a number. Excuse me. Now we're going to create one more called inbound outbound balance. So I'm going to delete the existing balance one first. And now I'll create a new column, balance. And again, calculated. And the formula is different this time. It's inbound minus outbound. And we'll display that as a number. We'll go back into the list, and we will drag our values over, and our list will magically save. And that's great. One of the nice features that that's come to the list experience is the ability to edit a form. The default form, excuse me. We had this option in the past, excuse me, and it was, you had to do it through Power Apps, which it's great, but it's not the same experience, and sometimes it's not necessarily for power users to do, and it's more of the citizen developer. But this new edit columns allows me to move fields around and customize the form in a way that requires No programming skills, no additional tools. It takes seconds to do. I could hide a column from the list if I didn't want my users to be interacting with it. So perhaps I would do the calculated columns of balance and total students, and those wouldn't be something that could be edited. And so now when we come into our list, those have been removed. It's still the same experience, and it performs quite faster compared to Power Apps. All right. So one of the things that our users wanted to see was a quick insights. They want to be able to see information quickly about the exchange programs, and one of them is to know what country they're coming from. Well, we do have the country column, so why don't we create a new view that will group everything by country? So let's group by country. And then I will save this as a new view. And we'll do a couple edits on it to also group by the city. I'm in the way. And I'm going to go down to group by. And we're going to do group by country, and then we're going to group by city, and we'll show it collapsed. We'll click OK to this. And now when we come back to our view, we have a very simple insight into the exchange programs by country. Oh man, what is going on? And also by city. Okay, let's move on. Some of the demos are being affected, I believe, by the recording, so there we go. That seems to be working now. So now we can drill in by country and then by city, and it's a quick grouping, and it will serve our users well to be able to say, yes, we have one program from Australia, or two from Belgium, or one from Denmark, and however the case may be, but quick insights, no custom reporting, just something out of the box that we're building. Next thing they want to do is to see quick insights by ones that have expired. So we will create a list. That will identify those that are expired. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'll create a new list. I keep getting in the way. From all items, move this back. Then we'll call this expired. But this time we're going to filter. We're only going to show items when the following is true. And the status is equal to expired. We manually set one of them as expired, and now that is show. One of the other things that they wanted was another list view to give them just a summary of what was happening. So we'll go back into list settings. I'm in the way again. We'll create a new view, and this one will just give them the bits of information that they need. I'm in the way again. We'll call this summary. And we'll get rid of all the information that they don't need to worry about. Man, this is unbelievable. No. Come on. Sorry about these glitches. I truly believe it's the video software that I'm using to record this session that seems to be interfering. So all I've done is I've deselected the contextual information, and I'm just giving them the bare bones information that they need, and that is the name of the school, the type of program, the status, and the students that are inbound and outbound and those different values for total students and balance. So this is all good and well. We have this summary view, but I think we can make it easier for users to consume the information. And to do that, we will format the view to highlight those rows or those agreements that have expired. And to do that, I'm going to use view formatting, and it will be conditional formatting. I'm going to edit the rule, and I'm going to say anything with a status that is equal to expired will be to red, save. And so what we've done is we're drawing the user's visual attention to those programs that have expired. Excuse me. We're also going to do some column formatting. So I'm going to go into my all items view, and I'm going to recreate my conditional formatting for status so it's available in all. Whoops. Edit rule, status equal to expired. And we're just going to change the text to be bold, and we're going to make the font color red. This way we're not overwhelming the entire list. And we're also going to look at the balance. They want a way to visually indicate which ones are positive and which ones are negative. So we will, excuse me, we'll edit the rule. If the balance is greater than 0, we are going to give it an up sign and make it green. And we don't have to worry about fill color. And then we'll go back and we're going to add another condition. We're going to do the inverse, and we're going to look at those that are less than. Balance is less than 0. Oops, that's not where I wanted to do it. Sorry, folks, I have to add a new rule. Balance is less than 0. Sample text, no fill. Whoops, more styles. And we're going to go down arrow, and we're going to give the color red for bad. Okay. That doesn't look right. Okay, well, there we go. And so now, anything with a minus value turns red and has the down arrow. Anything that is positive is green and goes up arrow. Pretty cool stuff, considering that this used to be something that you had to do in JSON code, and that's not for power users. Okay, so let's get out of all of the list business. And our users, our team, want a better way of working. They want to be more coordinated. So we're going to use the Office 365 tools available to us. So we have a planner plan that we've created for them. Called Exchange. And yes, we can tell them to go to Planner, but it's better if we bring Planner to them. So for now, we're just going to use a simple link. Get rid of this, get rid of this. We'll add a new link to Planner. From a link, I'm going to change the icon to start giving them some brand awareness, if you will. So when they do make that transition over to Planner as it is, it's there and available to them. The other thing that I want to do is to bring help to the system for them. And so we're going to use the Microsoft Learning Pathway solution. And this is something that you can provision to your tenant from Microsoft, and it has all of the curated content from Microsoft about training. You have the ability to add it. So we're bringing the help to the site, not as the only mechanism for help, but as one that they can use as they start to become more self-reliant. Change the title, Microsoft Learning Pathways, change the icon to help. And the point of all of this is to simplify the experience, bring help and resources to them so they don't have to leave their digital home as they're maturing and adopting to all of the change, because change can be tough for these users. Excellent. So we're going to jump back into our slide deck. We have a site that is starting to take shape. We have a list that reflects some of the new opportunities in the business process where we can add value. And later in our next demo, we are going to bring it all together with Power Automate. Excuse me. So what did we do? In our second demo, we added new columns, we updated other columns, and we created views and customized some of the filtering. We understood the business process and found opportunities to add value. We added Planner, we added learning pathways, and we created a hub for teamwork by creating connected solutions. Our digital home is centralized. It's not overwhelming, and it has the options that the users need. We centralized in a place that will work for our users. Today, it's SharePoint. Tomorrow, it could be Teams. But for now, we have all of the building blocks in one location. We're going to connect our users to technology by eliminating their mundane and manual tasks. We are going to drive adoption through direct support, and we're going to hook our users with technology by making their working lives easier, and this will drive adoption. And finally, we're going to document our wins and advertise them. Let's hop into our next demo. We are going to give direct support using Yammer. Yammer's not dead. Yammer is a fantastic tool for building knowledge communities. Having a place where people can be in a safe place, ask questions, get support from others, whether that's in IT or others within their team, and it stays there as a record. And so we have created a Yammer group for our team, and we're calling it Exchange. And like Planner, we're going to bring this to the site. I'm going to edit again. I'm going to add a link from a URL over to our Yammer group. I'm going to change the icon again. Excuse me. And I'm going to republish. We've just brought two opportunities for help to the site, Yammer and the learning pathways, and we've given them a better way to work through Planner. So now, let's get to the real business in Power Automate. We're going to build a flow that will give them a reminder that an agreement is about to expire, and another flow that is and another part of the flow, excuse me, that will set the status to expired if it has reached that state. I'm in the list, I'm clicking Automate, Power Automate, and then I'm going to see my flows. Excuse me. I'm going to create a new flow. And this is going to be scheduled from blank. I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to have it run every day at 10 a.m. once a day. I'm going to create a new step that will get all of the list items that have expired. So I'm going to create a new step, and it's going to be SharePoint. I'm going to get items. I'm just going to rename this to expired. And my site address, I better copy that just in case. Sorry about the clicking around. Custom value, site name, list name is exchange. And now I'm going to do a OData filter query that reads end date is less than or equals UTC now, which is the current date and time. UTC now. Save and test. Yes, thank you. Don't show that again. When I'm developing flows in Power Automate, I find I have the best success if I go step by step and iterate. If I were to complete this whole flow and I had an error, it's going to be harder to debug. But right away, I think I forgot the single quotes. And it's the simple things that always get you. Run flow. And when this runs, I'm expecting to have some values that are already expired. And I'll click on expired, and I'll see that we're getting results back. So in this case, the University of Copenhagen has expired. Great. Now I'm ready to move on to my next step. And my next step is to update the items that are expired and set the status column to expired. I'm going to use another SharePoint action. Update item. Whoops. Whoops. Get some value. Put in my site address, my list. The ID will be the ID from the get items expired that we ran in the previous step. And this will create a new apply to each action. I'm just going to name it because we're going to do a similar one later. And this will just help me understand what I've done throughout the flow. We'll set the title back to the title because that's a required column. And the status now will be expired. I'm going to save my flow and I'm going to test again. Now that's completed. If we jump back into the list and do a refresh, we'll see that University of Copenhagen is now expired, and we'll also see that this other school is expired. So that's the first half of what we wanted to accomplish in Power Automate. We're going to edit again, and now this time we're going to do the reminder. The flow will follow a similar approach. We're going to get the items that will soon expire. Excuse me, I made a little mistake, so let me undo this. I need to create a variable to store the date that we were going to use as our anchor point for the reminders. So variable. And so what I mean by that is today minus 30 days. I'm going to initialize a variable. I'm going to call this bar reminder date. We'll call this a string for now. And the value is going to be an expression and I'm going to add days, and I'm going to get the current date and time, UTC now, 30 days, and I'm going to format it as year, month, day. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to run this again to get the value out of that variable to know what my date should be in the list to trigger the reminder emails. Okay, so 30 days from today is July 10th. So I will go into the University of South Australia, and I'm going to edit the end date, and I'm going to set that to, what was it, 7/07/10. I'll double check that to make sure that's the right value. Okay, maybe it was easier just to do this. Every time. I like this video software I'm using. It's called Loom, but I've never had it behave like this in a demo. So apologies for some of the lagging or the pauses or whatever. It's the software. Right, so now back to our flow. I'm going to get the SharePoint items that are going to expire in 30 days. And Flow is just, I think it's a wonderful platform. There's so much opportunity for adding value and doing automation, and it doesn't have to be complex stuff. Nothing what I'm doing is high tech right now. This is all like zero code. This is something that is power users could do this. There's nothing special here. And so end date. But if you had very complex requirements, Power Automate can keep up with you. Okay, so I put that in single quotes this time, and I'm going to add my var reminder date. I'm going to save and test again. We're very close. If we get the data set back that we want with a single entry, then we can create our reminder email. And there we have it. So University of South Australia is expiring in 30 days. So we are going to send our users, the owner of that agreement, an email reminder. What is it? Outlook. I'm going to send an email to dynamic content owner. And again, you have to be careful when you're in Power Automate that you are using the right column from the right action. So I'm using get items reminder, but there's also an entry for get items expired. I don't want the expired, I want the reminders. So I'm going to use the owner email. So when we made the effort to convert the signatory from text to a person column, and I said that there were more opportunities for automation, this is what I'm talking about. As you saw when I added the person, the owner email, I could have used all of these different values that come from that single column. So this is where it makes the most sense. So now we have an email that's going to the owner, and it is simply going to say exchange agreement expiring soon. We'll give it some context, and we'll use the title reminder, which is the school name in our case, and then we can put in a nicer message, reminder. Oops. And we have rich text editing capabilities inside of this particular action. the exchange agreement, excuse me, the exchange program agreement with title again. So you're creating dynamic messages with dynamic data. This is all I'm trying to show. Yes, exchange type. Exchange type value is expiring in 30 days. Everything that we're doing here can come with us as we're moving to different platforms. I said earlier, if we decide to go to Teams, this workflow can move with us. The list can move with us to Teams. It's all portable because we're using an Office 365 group and Power Automate as the glue that's binding it all together. Detailed information here. Link to Python. All right, save. Hopefully this is it. Test. This is the home stretch, I believe. I'm going to open my email. And we see a new message has come in, and it says, reminder, the exchange program agreement with the University of South Australia is expiring in 30 days. Here's the link to get more information. Awesome. Massive value for our users. They don't have to go to the list to find out what's expiring. The list is coming to them to say, you have action to do. We've added incredible amounts of value. All right, so let's get out of the demo. Let's go back into the slide deck. It keeps doing that. So what did we do? We added a Yammer group to provide direct support. We're driving adoption through direct support. As their knowledge and comfort increases, their dependence on IT will also lower. We use Power Automate to expire the agreements and to send email reminders 30 days out. We're hooking our users with the technology by making their working lives easier, and this will ultimately drive adoption. And I forgot to show, and I'm going to jump back and show you, we added our solution to our solution showcase. We're documenting our wins, and we're going to advertise them. Sorry about that, folks. Let me go back in SharePoint. And this is a very simple site that we've created that is intended to give visuals and executive summaries to decision makers who are thinking of coming to SharePoint or the cloud in a way. So this simple showcase has an image. We can click in, and that is not the right image. That is not the right image either. Sorry, wrong link. They come to a dedicated page that talks about the solution we just built and explains the value. And it talks about all of those items that we created that are going to drive adoption. We went from Excel that was being managed on a single user's desktop computer. There was no insights into the work that was being done, and unfortunately, work has slipped in the past. We've centralized it in a SharePoint site and now allowed others the ability to collaborate on this work. We've added consistency in the data. We've made it easier for them to add and edit data. We've used things like view formatting, column formatting, to draw visual attention to the work that they're doing. We've simplified the site to only have the options that they need today, knowing that we can grow tomorrow. We've brought things like Yammer in to give them direct support, the Microsoft Learning Pathways, as a way for them to get self-help if they're ready to do so. And we've brought Planner to give them new ways of working. All of this is very disruptive, and we've made it so there's less friction for them to come to the new solution. Back into the slide deck one more time. If you want to know more about SharePoint, please take the time to go to the SharePoint blog. You'll learn the best practices, you'll hear all the news and the trends directly from the SharePoint team. If you want to get inspired with SharePoint, if you want to know what the art of the possible is, visit the SharePoint Lookbook site and discover the modern experiences that you can build with SharePoint in Microsoft 365. And most importantly in this site, you can provision those samples right to your own tenant and have that best-in-class experience available to you to build from. Get involved. Not everyone can jump onto GitHub and start writing SPFX programs and other types of high-tech stuff. For me, I'm not a developer. I'm a community content person. There is a community effort called the Microsoft 365 Community Docs. Highly recommend that you go there. You will see articles from experts in the field telling you how they're using SharePoint in the real world. And not only that, there's an opportunity for you to contribute as well. Let's connect. Please come visit me at my digital home, normyoung.ca. Find me on LinkedIn at norm-young, or follow me on Twitter at stormin_30. I'd love to connect. It's been a privilege coming to this session today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the hard work that the organizers have put into this event. So thank you so much. Have a great day. I'm Norm Young, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.